What's going on, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the upcoming new album from the band Defeated Sanity, entitled Passages Into Deformity. This is scheduled to be released on February the 5th through Willowtip Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they're based out of Berlin, Germany, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very punishing, technical style of brutal death metal. I first got introduced to this band back in 2009 by, of all bands, the Black Dahlia Murder. I was reading the thank you list of their 2009 album Deflorate. I was reading the part where they named bands, and by looking at the bands, I got introduced to a lot of other different bands, one of the bands being Defeated Sanity. So I decided to look up Defeated Sanity, and by doing so, I got introduced to their sophomore album, Psalms of the Moribund. I was absolutely blown away by it, by how great the music was, how fast-paced some of it was, the great guitar work, awesome bass, great drumming, guttural vocals, crazy lyrics. This band was the total package, and because of this album, it led me on to their debut entitled Prelude to the Tragedy. I thought that debut was awesome. So was this effort. And so was their third full-length entitled Chapters of Repugnance. I absolutely loved this album, including the fact that they had somebody who used to be in Discord USA on the vocals. It was something completely different, and I thought it added a different type of dynamic. Something very different. I still really enjoyed the record. Now, 3 years have passed, and now we have another new singer, because it seems to be the thing with this band. I guess they go through different singers a lot. But this new singer that they've recently added, I want to say his name is Konstantin. His vocals sound absolutely insane. And I got to hear some of those vocals when they had reissued their debut album, Prelude to the Tragedy, and there were a couple of, I guess, redone songs that had his vocals on them. And his vocals were just absolutely monstrous. Just how low guttural he can get to his upper mid-range kind of voice. It's amazing. It made me wonder what the next step this band was going to take, and now the next step is Passages Into Deformity. It's 9 tracks, and it runs around 37 minutes in length. And the thing that I love about this album from the minute you put it on is the fact that it just starts out with a bang. It starts off with a very short song entitled Initiation. It's very fast, very punishing, very to the point. And once you let that quick burst of brutalness just get to you, you get to the rest of the 8 tracks that follow it. And what you're going to get with this album is a little bit of the Defeated Sanity of the current sound and some Defeated Sanity of old, which really took me by surprise. And I mean the first 2 Defeated Sanity albums. This is what Passages Into Deformity reminds me of a lot. And I honestly believe that this is the best piece of material that this band has put out yet. It has a lot of the elements that you know already of this band, but they decide to take things just a step higher and just become that much better. The guitars on this record are your usual Defeated Sanity guitars. You're going to get a lot of really heavy, punishing riffs, some nice occasional solo work here and there, and just the way the riffs are, just the creativity with the guitar. This is where you hear an almost jazz fusion type of inspiration with this band. I want to say on the tracks Verblendung and The Purging, you hear some of that influence on those tracks. Even to the bass guitar, just the way it sounds, it's incredibly clear, crisp, and audible. It has that nice little doodle and that nice little head-nodding kind of feeling that you get when you listen to a bass guitar on a brutal death metal record. It just sounds absolutely amazing. And the way that they're blended in together, it works so good. This is the kind of brutal death metal band that can make this type of sound work. And it works tremendously. The drums, Lille is the heart and soul of Defeated Sanity, and He is one of the absolute best drummers for this genre of metal and for brutal death metal as a whole. His drum style is just absolutely awesome. I just love his blast beats, his gravities, his pretty much jazz-inspired moments here and there. The the wow. It's almost, you're almost at a loss for words when you hear this guy play. And just the way he plays his drums, his drum set is just amazing. Just the way the snare sounds, the way the toms are, the snare, the kick, it's all there, and it's played very nicely, very quick, very fast paced. It doesn't get too monotonous. It stays in the great tempo that it does, and it's done very well. And another little interesting factoid about this album is the fact that in some songs there seems to be a use of sound experimentation. Some pretty unique kind of instrumentals that follow songs, like I don't remember what song. I think it's either Verblendung, or I think there's a couple of tracks on here that best represent that, but I think it's interesting. It's very unique, and it adds some variety to this record. It's very, very awesome. And now we get to the vocals. Good God, these vocals are just so scary. I love the fact that he goes from mid-range to just very low guttural, undecipherable. But the way he delivers this vocal style is just great. I love his delivery. I love the passion in his voice, just the growls he delivers. It's really awesome. And there's some guest vocals to be heard on this record. The last vocalist from the last Defeated Sanity record, AJ, is on here. You also hear Brian Forg of Syphilic and Gutrot. I want to say the song Verses of Deformity. You can recognize his guttural growl instantly on that track. I think that's the song. Correct me if I'm wrong, but whatever. The vocals are just amazing. The guest vocals are sick. So overall, this is an awesome, awesome piece of brutal death metal in 2013. Definitely one of the best, and maybe one of the best of this year as a whole. This year is just barely getting started, and already we have some great brutal death metal. So if you're a fan of the Defeated Sanity of old and the current sound that this band has, you will love everything about Passages into Deformity. It is an awesome record, and I urge you to pick it up when it comes out on February the 5th. If I had to pick any favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say the opening track, Initiation, Verblendung, The Purging, Verses of Deformity, and the final track, Martyrium. Really awesome stuff. So again, the album is Passages into Deformity by Defeated Sanity. This is going to be released on Willowtip Records on February the 5th. Support this band, and this gets a 9 out of 10. Absolutely mandatory brutal death metal. And it's great to see you guys again, and it's great to be back. So I'm going to conclude this video. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel, and until the next time, Armijo out.